Alright, so a couple months ago, I made a video titled, I completed Donut SMP's hardest challenges. And in the creation of that video, I asked a lot of Donut SMP professionals, including Pasta Gamer, for challenges. And the one Pasta Gamer gave me said, get every overworld animal / mob in a base. Good luck. And at the time, I was never able to complete such a time-consuming challenge. But now, I've decided to come back and complete this menacing challenge. Yo, what is going on, guys? And today is the first part of my entire journey on collecting all the overworld animals into a singular base. Alright, so just as an FYI, I will be narrating over this video as my mic that I was using to record this video was bugging and it basically did not work for the entirety of the footage, and I only realized this after I watched the footage back when I was editing. So yeah, just for your information. Alright, so first we need to find a good spot to build our little zoo or museum, and I thought this spot would be pretty good as it was on a plains next to many different biomes and also next to the ocean, which will be important for getting all the mobs that we need. I then got myself the drill and dug out a gigantic space for this museum. And the reason I wanted to make it a very big area is that I wanted each animal to have their own area with its designated theme. And with that in mind, I decided to dig out in a massive space. So here's a quick montage.
So early. Yeah.
And just like that, I mined out the entire space, and now I'm going to lay out the foundation for the build. After I was done with the main passageway, I started to get working on our first room, being the room for the axolotl. Alright, so I got to eventually this pillar theme for the walls and the structural part of the build. And for the actual axolotl chamber itself, I'm going for a cool underwater theme. After filling the chamber in with water, I decorated it with coral, sea pickles, and kelp. And once I was done decorating the chamber, I got my axolotl and put him in.
So cute!
After the axolotl, the next animal that we had to collect was a bat. And I designed this chamber with a cavey theme with some stone and coal. And once I was done building the chamber, I not only waited for the bat to spawn, but I also had to wait for the bat to actually fly into the chamber. Alright, so the next animal that I need to collect is the bee, and for this I decided to make a little tree and a plains biome as they live in the forest. After I built the tree, I finished building the walls and also this pillar structure, and now all you gotta do is get the bee. In the process of getting the bee, it was also pretty easy. I just bought a beehive and I broke it, and I just closed up the capture so they don't thing me. The next animal and the first extremely hard animal that I have to collect is the mushroom, and more specifically, the brown mushroom. And this is only obtainable if I struck a normal mushroom with lightning. Alright, so once I arrived on the mushroom island, I just basically got myself 2 mushroom, and then I just waited for a thunderstorm, and yeah.
1 million zillion jillion dillion cotillion times later.
Alright, so after around an additional hour of waiting for a thunderstorm, no thunderstorm happened, and I decided to basically take these 2 mushrooms back to my zoo so I can wait, while I'm building the other pen so I'm more productive. Things were pretty smooth sailing until this happened.
Wallahi chopped.
Zara.
You can't hear my live reaction, but obviously I was pretty devastated. And since we were so close to our actual zoo, I just decided to bring the one mushroom back, and after that I decided to go get another one. Alright, so this process of getting the mushroom was just the same old process, and it was really boring, so here's just a quick 10-second time lapse. Once I finally brought the mushroom back to my museum, I started working on the mushroom room. And the room itself was also very simple. It was just the mycelium alongside with some brown mushrooms. After that room was done, I also got working on the little cat room, as that was the next animal. The process of getting the cat was also pretty easy. I just flew to my nearby village, but in the process of getting the cat, I also got an unexpected reward. With the 3 new animals, I brought each one of them back and also put the cat in their room. And this is how like the zoo is looking like right now. We got 5 pens, and we also have the villager and armadillo inside, alongside the mushrooms outside our museum. After that, I built a small room for the armadillo, and this is what it looks like. I then started working on this like small one for a chicken, and I looked like I got pretty lazy, so I just went with like the basic grass and stone bricks alongside some carpet. I then got 3 little chickens and then moved on to the next animal. The next animal was going to be a cow, and I thought what better than giving it some wheat and some farmland. I then quickly lured a cow in, and then I moved on to the next room. The next one was going to be an aquarium for a load of different fish. And once I'm done with like the base with the sand, I fill it up with ice so it will turn into water. Alright, so I originally tried to get a dolphin in here, but it ended up like keep suffocating due to like lack of air and lack of water, and I just couldn't figure it out, so I just turned it into a fish pond instead. Here, I also got myself a horse, as that was one of the animals that I needed to get in the future. And with this, I also built a horse-like pen, for the horses to stay in. I then got myself a donkey, and brought him back, and put him in the same pen as the horse. I then filled up the aquarium with tropical fish, and later on, salmon, cod, and pufferfish. Alright, so the next animal up was the fox, and for its room, I decided just to make a light spruce tree alongside with the tree berries. I then went to fly out searching for a fox, and my pie chart actually helped me a lot with this. My pie chart basically allows me to see what entities are near me, including foxes, and this also helped me find a bunch of other animals in the future. Like this wolf right here. As you can see right here, my pie chart shows that there's a fox and a ghost near me, and these 2 are 2 animals that I have not collected yet, and I need to collect, so yeah, let's just collect them. And after a painful 30 minutes of trying to find the fox, I finally found it and brought it back to our base. I then also went back to transport the goat that we found earlier.
Oh. Oh heck no.
After I randomly TP-jettism, I decided to build the next cages for not only the goat, but also the next animal being the iron golem. I then finished the next cage for the llama, and now I'm gonna go out and try to find one. Yeah, surprisingly, I found this random Malay that was just in the savannah biome, and I decided to bring him back to our base first. I then flew out again in hopes of finding a llama. This took a while, but eventually I found one and brought it back to the base. I then also built like a cool little room for the lay that we found earlier. I then went to the jungle to get all the mobs that we need from the jungle biome. And the two animals we need are an ocelot and a panda. I also found a parrot, which I need, and the other animals I also got pretty quickly. And the hard part about this though was actually getting both of these animals back. Yeah, like I said, it was pretty difficult, and this happened. Yeah, after that tragedy, I got myself another panda from the same jungle, and finally it transported both the animals back.
Wonderful.
Did you get it?
No.
I then built a jungle-themed room and put the panda and ocelot and parrot in the room. The next day, I built a little room for all the farm animals, alongside a snow room for a polar bear, rabbit, and the snow golem. Yeah, I remember that mushroom that was in front of our base in the beginning? Yeah, it died somehow. And with this, I just led the mushroom that we had into the mushroom room. And after all of that, this is how the museum is looking so far. You know, we have the bee, the mushroom, the cat, the fox, so cute, you know, the llama, the lay, the polar bear, you know, the farm animals, the panda, and etc. And all these like other animals that we have. But with this, the room has finally gotten too small, and we need to dig out a bigger space. So let's get straight to doing that. And first things first, I'm gonna drill, and let's start digging. And just like that, we finished digging out a space for their final animals. I then set up the structures and then started building our final rooms, the first one being for the sea turtle. I also made this cool room for the squid, and if you're wondering what the hole is, it's basically I'm gonna make it into a bubble elevator to transport the squid in. I then got myself a squid and brought him along the tunnel into the room. I then built rooms for the villager and the wolf that we got earlier. And after all of that, this is what the pie chart is looking like when you walk through my base. We've got all these animals with one final animal remaining on our list, and that being the Wandering Trader. And if you don't know, Wandering Trader can only spawn if you stay in an area for a long period of time. It's basically all down to luck. So I waited, and waited for a very long time, and eventually I had to get off.